Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Obviously today we are starting to cover a new character, and that is Kitana. Remember, if you guys like this type of content, drop a like on the video. It helps me out in spreading the YouTube content to new people that are looking for this type of content. And as usual, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. I'm guaranteed to answer you within the day. Also, consider subbing. We're on the road to 500 subs, and you know, once we do that, we can do a lot more things with the channel. So anyway, I recently took a poll on what character I should cover, and unfortunately Reptile won in a landslide. Not so much a landslide, but I do have updated news on Reptile. I do know a fair bit about Reptile. I'm not an expert, however, but when I make the announcement in about 2 weeks from now, you guys will find out exactly what that is. For now, I'm going to be covering Kitana, and I'm going to be, like I said, I have a few announcements in like 2 weeks from this video, and you guys will see what will happen then. So yeah, let's get on to it. So if you don't know already, I usually play Kitana in pretty much every game. I'm not as much as an expert on Kitana as Liu Kang usually, but I'm definitely going to make an exception in this game. I am going to study and break down and do everything that I did for Liu Kang with Kitana, and a bit of a spoilers, a few other characters when I announce it in 2 weeks from now. And yeah, that's basically why I'm playing it. Now, how do you play Kitana? Kitana usually and mainly has a, well, infamous reputation in this game for being a zoning character. So even though that is true, you do zone with her. There are a few other tools I want to talk about. She's not a master at neutral or anything. I mean, let's be honest, there are other characters that do it better, like Ashra, for example. But she does have some okay neutral, and her pressure and setups is really strong when you pair it up with cameos. Now, today, obviously, we're talking about just Kitana. There's no cameo usage whatsoever. And I highly suggest, if you want to play Kitana, you watch this video first before you watch it with the cameo breakdowns, because this is going to explain everything you need to know about Kitana, like just as a whole Kitana player, if you're choosing to main her or, you know, use her as one of your mains or something like that. So anyway, let's get into some strings. Now, very common strings that you're going to use. I'll just put the Johnny Cage on block, and I'll pick Johnny Cage for a reason, but we'll get onto that later. The first string you will definitely be using a lot is 1-1. 1-1 is literally your 7-frame punish. It reaches pretty far in front of her because she uses like the fan, which is like the disjointed hitbox. You can also use down 1 as a 7-frame punish, but as you can see, it's just basically the same. So you would get, you know, the same thing out of this as you would this, and you'd rather use the 1-1 just to get a punish anyway, and that will combo. And I'll get on to combos in a minute. Obviously there's a whole combo section, and there'll be another section in the part of the video which I'll talk about in a second. Another string you'll be using is the same string but ending it in 1-1-2. This string looks like it has a gap, but most characters in the game actually cannot punish or armor through this. As you can see, it's -4, so completely safe. And if they try and take their turn back with a high, you will be down 1-ing. Down 1 with this character is going to be used a fair bit. Even down 3 will be used. You also have forward 1-2. You can see it's a 3-hitting move. Forward 1 specifically is your fastest mid, which is 12 frames. Now, I know it's a lot slower than a few other mids in the game, but unfortunately Kitana is just one of these characters that does not have a straight up super fast mid. But she does have a 12 frame one, and that's what you're going to be using. You can see that it's -11 though, so usually you always want to be ending this string or cancelling it into like something else, or, you know, just keeping yourself safe. You never just want to do forward 1. I know it's a little hard to react to the difference between this and this, but trust me, you'd rather be safe than sorry and just finish the string or cancel it into something else. A very common string which you're going to use as your most damaging punish is 2-4-1-2, which is this string, I'm sure you all know. We'll get onto the gaps in this string in a second, but this is, just remember, if you're going to punish your opponent, with the most damaging punish, it's usually going to be this button right here. Remember that this button starts up in 9 frames. It is a high, right? So, like I said, use it for punish. Don't use it to like take your turn back or anything. Especially if the opponent plans to disrespect you a lot. But there you go. There you have the most damaging punish, and we'll get onto this string a little bit in a second. You also have back 2-4. Back 2-4 is a mid and a mid. It finishes at -5. Even if you just do back 2, it's -7. And let's be honest, the difference between a character choosing between this and this is very indecisive in when they have to punish this back 2 only. This is a really far-reaching mid. That's why it is taking a long time to start up. You can see it starts up in 15 frames, but has a lot of range, right? So, even in a poking war, if your opponent is like from this distance and they like try and down 4 and down 3 you and all that sort of thing, if you push back 2 out, you'll most likely catch them if they try and down poke you as a counter poke. So just keep that in mind. And there's a few setups with this string which I'll get onto. There's also 3-3, which I suggest you use on block. I don't recommend using it all the time, but it is fairly niche. You can also do stuff like that, like just back 3 by itself. It's -4, completely safe, and then there's back 3-3, which is -7, which, you know, only 3 characters in the entire game can punish as of right now. There's also back 3-4. I highly suggest just using back 3-4 as a punish in certain scenarios, and I'll get onto that in a minute why. But also on block, and I'll also get back into that. But just keep in mind you will be using back 3-4 as well. And lastly, the last string you're going to be using is forward 3-3. This is a pretty awkward string because you're inputting a forward input and like mashing 3 at the same time, but it does come out. You can see she does a multitude of kicks. It's like, I don't even know how many kicks it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think it's 6, I think. As you can see, it's only -4. So the reason for you not to throw this out is, you know, why not? Except if you get ducked by the high, which is a 4. And this is -7, but I always recommend finishing this string because, you know, why not? Because you can. Another thing I want to mention real quick is you will be using standing 3 and standing 4 in your combos. You guys will see that in the combo section, but they do a lot of damage and they don't contribute to the scaling as hard as other moves for your optimal combos. The only punishable strings that you have by your 7 frame characters, right, is you have forward 1. So obviously you have a 7 frame or 10 frame or 9 frame punish by the opponent. They will be opening you up. Like I said, never just do forward 1, just always finish it. Always finish it. Then you have back 3-4. This string, you can see, ends up with you in the air, and it's a high, right? But, so you can see that the high does not jail. But if you mix this in with 3-3, a lot of people that start ducking this will get caught out, right? You can also do something on block, which is this. This gets you away from the opponent, and very few characters in the game can punish this. Now, like I said, only a few characters in the game can punish this. Characters with very fast reversals that reach a very far away. For example, Liu Kang can punish, you know, just this straight up. If he sees you around here, right, when you're in the whole butt animation, down back 2, he can just react and then, you know, back forward 3 you from like this distance, and you have a bit of recovery, which means you can't block in time, and you know, you just die. I'm not sure if Johnny Cage can reach because the shadow kick doesn't go as far, because the dragon kick does go full screen, but there will be other fast reversals that can punish that, so just keep that in mind. Don't use this against all characters. I'm pretty sure Reptile might be able to punish this as well, I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, only use it against some characters. And now your 6-frame punish characters. This is Kung Lao, Liu Kang, and Li Mei. Now, it is dependent on range on whether they can punish, which Liu Kang has the worst 6-frame punish, but he does have one. And Li Mei has the best 6-frame punish, but she has to spend meter, right? Because it's a special move. So, these moves are 1-4. So, I highly suggest not using this move in the first place because 1, it has a very obvious animation compared to 1-1. 1-1 is very fast that they can't react to, but 1-4 you can react and then armor through. So keep that in mind. Also 6-frame characters, like I said, are going to punish this. More so Li Mei, Kung Lao and Liu Kang are not going to punish this because it's just too far, knocks them too far back. You also have 2, like I mentioned before. If you just start staggering this a whole bunch, the 6-frame character, if they are good enough, they will start punishing you. There's also back 2. That's also a 6-frame punish. Back 3-3 is a 6-frame punish. So even though I recommend using back 3-3, just don't use this against 6-frame characters. And then there is standing 4, which is also a 6-frame punish, and that can only be punished by Li Mei from like full distance, even close up. So keep that in mind as well. Let's talk about the armored gaps that Kitana has, and she has a fair few, right? Your main punish string that I said was 2-4-1-2. This has a huge gap. You see that? It has a 21 startup gap, which it's not a 21 gap, but it's 21 frame startup on the next move, which means, you know, the opponent can just armor you, which I'll just show you guys now. Right, so 2-4 just armors through this. I know Johnny Cage has the fastest armor in the game, and that's why I picked him for this breakdown as the opponent, but other armored moves go straight through this move as well. All armored moves can go straight through this. So be careful when using 2-4 against your opponent, even though it is a good string. And there's also back 2-4 has a gap, right? So as you can see, you can just armor straight through it, even though I said, you know, back 2 is a 6-frame punish. The 6-frame characters can also just OS armor if they see, you know, the kick just rise up. So there's also that. There's back 3-3, which is also has a gap, even though I recommend using it. Just be careful, don't use it all the time, because like I said, you know, even though it's safe against most characters, there is an armorable gap, and obviously back 3-4. So yeah, be careful about how you use these strings, right? Even though if I input down back 2, you're not getting out of this situation because he hits you in between the hits. Keep those things in mind. Really quick, I just want to say, let's just take Johnny Cage off block for a second. Your most damaging ender in the air is going to be 1-1-2. This string right here. This string is one of the best strings Kitana has access to. In fact, it's probably better than her grounded strings, but obviously you can only do it in the air, so you need a hit confirm or catch somebody in the air doing something. But when you do this, right, after certain scenarios, you can chase a Meaty, and look at that. I did it so fast that a 21 frame move literally whiffed, right? So this is one of your best enders because you can confirm into everything like really quickly, and you can keep the pressure up to your opponent, especially if you have cameos backing you up, which obviously we're not going to talk about too much, but like I said, 1-1-2 has the most damage for Kitana to end, and it gives you the most OKI in the mid screen and in the corner, so keep that in mind. There are most characters that are not going to punish this. However, 1-1 or any string into Fan-Toss on block, right? But when you do something into Fan-Toss, the only character that can punish you is Lee Mei, right? So even though you can do like 1-1 fan toss against most characters and it jails, so they have to block it and it's -7, you lose your turn, but never do this against Lee Mei. Even if you do this against Liu Kang, he can't punish, but Kung Lao can. Right, Lee Mei is going to block your fan up close and punish you with, you know, her down back 3, which is an instant, you know, 7-frame punish because it's a 7, because it's a special move, so it starts up instantly, right? Now you can use, like I said, fan toss after basically every single string, right, except 2, 4, 1, 2. When you do this string into fan toss, the opponent can straight up duck it, and I'll show you guys that now. There you go. They can just straight up duck it, whereas, you know, it jails after 1-1. Yeah, like, you know, he's got to be blocking for that, for example, but you guys get the point. If you do back 2-4 into this, it doesn't work either, so it can just be ducked. Be careful about how you use fan up close. So yeah, don't use it after 2-4-1-2, and don't use it after back 2-4. Now we're talking a bit of zoning with Kitana's fan toss, and you're going to see that the fan is very plus from full screen, which means, you know, you can machine gun this out, and if your opponent, you know, just keeps blocking it, you know, it's a detriment to them. Now it is a high, so they can just duck and, you know, move in every single time, but if your opponent, you know, for whatever reason online, because let's be honest, some people aren't very smart online, they just decide to block it, you can constantly spam fan toss and they will gain very little distance on you. This is going to start talking about the counters against Kitana and how it's still how to play Kitana, like more of what to do and what not to do, but specifically this is going to help people that struggle to play against Kitana or think that she's really good. I'm going to show you guys that that is not the case. Right, so here I have Kitana doing back forward 1 meter burn, which ends up in her doing this move, right? And as you can see, it has a fair bit of startup, and you might be realizing that maybe you can backdash this move, right? But you can't, because it has a pretty big hitbox. But what you can do is literally just forward dash every time she does this on block to you, and even though the fans still come out, right, she's still going to get punished because all you have to do is forward dash and like she gets punished. This happens with every single character, so trust me, this guide is literally for everybody. All you have to do is literally block, and then when you see it, just react forward dash and punish her. This happens after most other strings as well, right? Right, so it's very easy to punish this move. This is fake pressure. Please never fall for this in whatever scenario you're using it. Now, in terms of speaking about Kitana using this move though, this move is very good for zoning. You can see it lifts the opponent, which doesn't hold them in the air for the longest amount of time, right? But this is a very strong move because if the opponent blocks it, right? If the opponent blocks it, you can see it's plus 14, which basically means Kitana can do whatever she wants. And I'll show you guys how to set that up in the setup section. There, yes, I have a whole section dedicated to Kitana and her base kit setups without any cameo usage whatsoever. It took me a while to find these because it seems like people weren't covering this online, but I figured it out, and you guys have not meterless, but you guys have base kit setups with Kitana, which you don't need cameos for. And back forward 1 meter burn is going to be one of them. Now we're going to move on to down back 3. Down back 3 is also another good zoning move. You can see it has quite a weird hitbox, right? If I just do the normal one, it literally curves back, and then if I do the close one, it curves back right into my face. basically. But if I do the far one, it covers a lot of range, almost full screen. And your opponent really has to respect this. Especially because every time they do it, they are... Kitana is plus, right? Even though you're full screen, Kitana can literally abuse that. And it's a mid, which means your opponent has to block it, right? In a zoning battle. They can't just, you know, avoid it. Now, obviously, if the Kitana player misreads where you're going to go, and they do this, they can get punished with like a shadow kick or something. Or let's say, you know, I'm at full screen, I send a full screen overhead fan, or it's a mid fan, but you guys get what I mean. Here, forward dashes, and then, you know, shadow kicks. There's still counterplay against her. But if you have been blocking this, however, though, you know, there's not much you can do but expect another fan coming your way in a zoning battle. Now, I'll see a lot of people respecting this move up close. And quite frankly, I don't know why. Because this move does literally nothing up close, and I'll show you guys that. So I have a whole bunch of examples that you guys can see. Right, you can literally just react and punish. It's not even that hard, right? There's also other strings that you can use. Right, and this one as well. And all you have to do is whip forward. So you get, you know, you have enough time to react and then just get away from the fan. And as soon as you hit her, the fan goes away. So there's not much Kitana does in this scenario, but literally lose. One thing I do want to say about down back 3 is that even though in a combo, it doesn't keep the combo going, right? You can see it knocks them down and Kitana has really long recovery. This will be a move that you use with your Kameo to extend for a lot of damage. Now, that's not an optimal route per se, but you will use down back 3 meterless in Kameo combos because it does a lot of damage and doesn't have a lot of scaling. So just keep that in mind for future reference. And now let's talk about the meter burn down back 3 fan. Unlike the meterless fan, you can see that this fan, even if I hit Kitana, still comes out, right? No matter what you do. And you can see it's clipping me. But all you have to do is react, forward dash, and punish. This works after every single string. Every single goddamn string. I was a bit slow that time. So you can see the fan just come out, and then your OS against the meterless and the meter burn fan on a string is literally just forward dash into your punish. That's literally it. Preferably a mid, because as you can see, Kitana gets very low to the ground and you don't, like, highs will just literally miss. So all of the strings into down back 3, meterless and meter burn are just completely fake. So never ever fall for them. However, there is one thing for Kitana players that is really strong, and that is down 1 into this. Even if you were to forward dash and punish, you can see I'm using one of the fastest mids, right? You get away with a very slight punish. Now, if she down 3s, you can still get caught by the fan. So you have to be very careful about how you punish this. Make sure it's a full dash, right? Make sure it is a full dash, and some characters can't punish this. Some characters cannot straight up punish this because their forward dash is not as good, or they don't have a very fast mid or something like that. And they'll just get caught by the thing. Especially if your opponent is sloppy at trying to punish this, you will get away with it a lot of the time. Right? But make sure, if you're somebody that is going to play against the Kitana player, that you're going to punish it properly. Right? Don't be sloppy like this, you know. Don't be sloppy. punish it properly, get the full forward dash, then commit to your fastest mid, and you'll punish her every single time. So keep that in mind. But for Kitana players against, you know, slower characters and all that sort of thing, this down poke into down back 3 does work. You guys are going to see that down back 1, the Fan-Nado, is going to be like your main combo string. Your main combo special move, right? It starts your combos, basically. You can do this in the air as well. I missed, but yeah. You can also do it in the air as well. Now, the only thing about this is, yes, it catches people that, you know, like to duck and not block. But if they do block, you are dead, right? So make sure you never commit to Fan-Nado without, like, hit confirming it, literally. Otherwise, you're gonna die. You can see you're minus 19. Every single character in the game can punish minus 19. And it will be their optimal punish, so you will eat a lot of damage. I don't really recommend using down back 1 in the air too much, but in some combos you will. And in an air-to-air trade, if your opponent jumps and does like an attack like 1, 2, 3 or 4 and not a special move, doing a really quick jump cancel into your down back 1 can literally catch them and has a little bit of priority, because you can see the fan goes in front of Kitana, so it has a bit of a disjointed hitbox in which you should win most of those hits, unless obviously, like I said, they do a special move. So just keep that in mind as well. You can see that if your opponent jumps, right, and you're on the ground, you can also just react and use down back 1 as an anti-air. Some people like using down back 3, but I'm just going to tell you now, down back 3 is a little inconsistent. Even though Kitana gets very low to the ground, if you don't do it in time, right, she's literally just going to get hit and the fan just misses. So if you see it, just use down back 1. It's a lot more consistent than all the other punishes that you have. Now, if the opponent does a special move like Kung Lao, for example, right, they do dive kick, you still are going to get hit, but you'll get the trade in your favor. So just keep that in mind as well. Next, we have down forward 2, and this move is Princess Pirouette. What a weird name they gave it. Now, I highly suggest not ending combos in this move, because usually what happens is you end up being minus on wake up, which is ridiculous. So if you're playing like normal Kitana, right, basic Kitana, and you're not using your Kameo too much, you're not going to be using this move all that often, because, well, there's just other moves that just do more damage and have a lot more OKI for you. For example, you know, 1-1-2 in the air. Down forward 2 meter burn is your armored move, and as you could imagine, it is a terrible armored move, but it does work and it does hit twice. Which means if you get in an armored war, basically, you can break other people's armor. But you can see the second hit takes a very long time to come out. Also, with other cameos, obviously, you can get, you know, confirms off it as well. Cyrix is a little off, but it works with Jax and a whole bunch of other characters. You're going to be using this move mostly with a Kameo. You're not going to be just chucking it out all the time, and definitely don't do it on block because it's super punishable, and yeah, you'll literally die. Next, you have Ass, which is the square wave, down back 2, right? Down back 2 in this game is a little odd. Like I said, you could use it on block with, you know, back 3-4, for example, right? And then you can get out of like situations against some characters, especially if they're low blocking. If they're high block, you know, you're not getting away because it's just a full-on punish, and they can dash up and punish you. The most important thing about down back 2 is getting away from the opponent and then cancelling the meter burn into another special move. That is the most important thing with this move. Obviously on block you can't do this, but in your combos, for example, right, I'll do a very simple thing, and then you can do a fan toss if you time it properly. I was just a little bit off there, but cancelling your down back 2 square wave into another special move gets you a little bit more damage in your combos. Now, I don't highly recommend that you spend meter in your combos unless absolutely necessary with Kitana, because you need your meter to do other things, right? So you doing, you know, this into Fan is nice damage at the end of a combo, but you shouldn't be doing it unless you know it's going to guarantee you like the win, or, you know, close the round out or something like that. Other than that, you should be keeping all your combos pretty much meterless with Kitana. And last but not least, we have Wind Bomb. Now, I'm sure if you guys play Kitana, or you have any, if you played against any Kitana players online, that this move actually can be blocked, right? You can see it's block and then it acts as a mid. This move is 0 on block, right? So Kitana doing this as your opponent wakes up, if she does it on the frame they literally wake up, you're both literally neutral. So there's no point to doing that in that situation besides stopping them from waking up, and a few other scenarios which I will get into in a second. Another thing, when I show you guys the Wind Bomb setups in this tutorial, you cannot use the Wind Bomb again. So let's say I use it right after a setup and I try and use it again, right? It's just not going to come out until 4.5 seconds. So, you know, you do this in a 1, 2, 3, 4 and a bit, and then you can do it again, right? So you can't just spam Wind Bomb, you know, after a string to abuse your opponent into like a loop. So, you know, that stops Kitana from being completely and utterly broken in the corner, for example, because she does have meterless setups, and I'll show you guys meterless and like just base kit setups without any cameos. And a lot of other cameos. I know we're not going to talk about any cameos in this, but when you do use a cameo, and I will cover it in like future videos, using Wind Bomb like setups with like a Cyrex net, for example, because it holds them for a very long time, is very, very strong and gets you a lot of damage. And especially with like Cyrex net, for example, right? This setup from a Cyrex net, if your opponent only has 1 bar of meter, they can't break, which means they can't do anything, and you're guaranteed a situation. And you guys will see that in that section. So there's one more thing I wanted to talk about, and it's literally Johnny Cage against Kitana. Now, there is a really weird interaction when Kitana does a down back 3 fan, right? The overhead fan, which is actually a mid. When she whips this move, right, for example, like she hits me there because she holds the back version, and now she's +8 against, you know, every single character in the game. However, Johnny Cage, because his armor reversal is so fast, he's the only character that is guaranteed to get out of this setup every single time. If he has the armor, he is guaranteed to get out of it every single time. So don't do this base kit setup against Johnny Cage. And like I said, there's a weird interaction if Kitana misses the fan, right? You can see, right, for whatever reason, the frame data changes when the fan hits Johnny Cage. This happens with all the characters, by the way, it's not just Johnny Cage. Right, I do the exact same wake up every single time, and because the fan hits Johnny Cage, I'm somehow more minus than I was whiffing the fan, which makes no sense, right? So, NRS, if you see this, right, I'm going to show you guys one more time. The fan hits me, punishable. Do the exact same setup, misses, and all of a sudden it's not punishable because the fan doesn't hit me. So one thing is, can you please, NRS, make Johnny Cage's reversal punish just 14 frames, which is the fastest punish after him, which is like slide and a few other reversal punishes that are really quick, right? Just make it 14 frames first of all. That will get rid of some inconsistencies. And whatever coding you have done for the down back 3 fan, right? Whatever coding you've done for this, you guys need to look at this again. Because why is Kitana more minus for hitting the fan on somebody on wake up as to whiffing the fan? It makes no sense. So NetherRealm Studio, if you guys are watching this, please fix this crap. It literally makes no sense. How am I more minus by hitting the opponent with a fan in the exact same setup, whereas I'm safe if I literally whiff the fan? So yeah, this like I said, this setup works against every single character in the game but Johnny Cage, right? Because his reversal punish is so fast. But yeah, I'm gonna stop ranting. Like I said, Kitana is a good zoning, okay neutral, and very strong pressure character with Kameo. By herself, her pressure isn't that strong, but you guys will see in the setups section that how you can set stuff up meterlessly and guarantee that you win in every single scenario. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this Basekit Kitana breakdown. Obviously, I'm gonna break her down with cameos in the future. More so in Gear 2 of MK1 now, it will be. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, please drop a like on the video. It helps me out a lot. If you guys have any questions, like I said, leave them in the comments down below. I'm guaranteed to answer you within the day. And as usual, if you like this type of content, we're going to be covering a lot more Kitana, and hint, surprise, in 2 weeks, a few more other characters for Gear 2 of MK1. So, you know, subscribe so you guys get more tutorials and you get more knowledge basically on how to play MK1 with a few more characters. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll catch you in the next one. See yous.